Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Highly Taken podcast. No one in the car this time. Congratulations, we're all sitting inside the building. I'm David Siegbert, back at you again from Tallahassee, Florida, right before I go to Jacksonville today.
Back at you, Elton, Maryland.
Hey, Nick Smith, back at you in Jacksonville. Maybe I'll be seeing David later on. Who knows? I don't know. We may never know. I see that you almost are wearing the same exact color as me. So that's good news.
It's the $8 Target shirts. I love them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey, I guess we should get right into it, guys.
Yeah, so it's a weekend, and, Gone 60 Seconds has really evolved from me talking about weird sports to me talking about sports to me just ranting about stuff recently. And, I'm going to continue on the ranting, and, my rant today is going to be about management and specifically Titans management. So on your mark, get set.
Hold on.
Oh.
No. So in honors of the new year, guys,
okay.
I'm sure Christian doesn't have a drink right now. I'm chugging water. New year, new me, no alcohol for a little bit. I'm chugging water. I will not be drinking any alcohol until if the Eagles make it to the NFC Championship this year. And if they don't, I will not be drinking. I will not be drinking any alcohol until my birthday.
How is this New Year's New Me? You did the Daniel fast just not that long ago, so you've already done stuff like this before.
New Year, new. Hey, that's hater talk. That is hater talk.
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
get that out of here. We don't want that. We don't want that. So I'm ready. I have my drink. I'm ready to go. I got a gallon jug.
On your mark, get set. Again, gonna rant about Titans management or management in general who take no responsibility. They traded AJ because they could replace him for cheaper with Trey Burks, who you saw how that went. They traded Byard. They can't draft anybody for Vrabel. They have no good players or QBs. They have drafted QBs in back-to-back years, wasted Henry's tenure, and Vrabel took them to the playoffs about 2 years ago and was a win away last year from a division with Greg Dobbs as the quarterback. I'm just sick and tired of management's not taking accountability for your trash decisions and just blaming coaches instead. If you're going to tell me 2 years ago that the Titans would probably be without Vrabel, Byard, A.J. Brown, and Henry now, I would call you insane. But I'm just thinking they just need to take accountability for their trash decisions. And that's the end of my rant. I don't know if that lasted a minute. But
that's close enough.
Yeah, I gotta say that I'm on the same page as you, David. I feel like the Titans now, that is one really shittily ran organization, it appears. I mean, you went ahead and you traded away your best offensive players just 2 years ago. A year removed, I believe, where you had already just made it to the playoffs. So you take away your best offensive weapon outside of Derrick Henry, but even still, he's also your youngest and best offensive weapon. So that's a guy you can have there for a very long time. And you're just like, nah, we're not going to pay him. That's our whole thing. We just don't want to pay you. So you send that right out the door. And then, coming to this year, now you're letting your best safety walk in Byard, who up until the day of the trade, he was an all-pro safety. Granted, he hasn't played that way with Philadelphia, but the day up to that trade for Tennessee, he was an all-pro safety for them. And so it doesn't make sense. And then on top of that as well, like you were saying with Vrabel, that's a player's coach. That's a guy that those guys wanted to play for. And Vrabel was doing everything he possibly could with the crap roster that was being given to him. And they're just saying, you know what? Nah, to hell with it. We're gonna just start this thing from the top, I guess. Whole new coaching staff, whole new players, everything. But I don't think it's gonna work out too well for him.
That was a long rant to get to the point that they fired the wrong person. That's all it is. They fired the wrong person. And I don't agree with it. A lot happened, man. A lot happened. Carroll's gone. Belichick's gone. The greatest college coach is gone. Saban, he retired. I don't know what they're going to do there. I mean, it's nuts. And I've been hearing this speculation. If Sirianni loses this week, there's a possibility Belichick might be coming to Philly. And I'm okay with that. Okay with that.
I mean, I'd rather have Doug Peterson or Vrabel over him, to be honest, but I think he's a lot older than they are. And
I agree, but I think he'd get the job done in Philly. I think he fits the blue collar city. I mean, I think it's just perfect
lose
with the fan base.
Hurts.
I got a dark horse. What about Pete Carroll?
He's up there too.
What about Nick Saban?
Defensive pieces that Philadelphia has, and then you also include that into the type of quarterback that Jalen Hurts is and what he did so many years with Russell Wilson over there.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have to get into this because I'm on a time crunch. But I'll just go over Dustin Chucks from last week, guys. We had two winners and a loser. We had a tie for first place, and then the tiebreaker didn't really matter anyway because we all picked the same team. Tiebreaker was Bengals versus Browns. Bengals destroyed the Browns 31-14, which we should have expected that, but we did it. We all picked the Browns to win. Tie for first place was David and I with 6, and Christian, he had 5. Carson Wentz really failed you, and the Broncos failed you. And you know who else failed you?
Won. The Rams won.
You know who else failed you? The Dolphins. The Dolphins failed you so hard.
That was the big one.
They absolutely took your predictions away, and I feel so bad for you, and I do apologize for that. You had all the hope. I mean, it sucks. But now Tyreek Hill's going to Arrowhead, and he might have a good game. But it was good. Christian, you lost. No, it is what it is. But we might as well talk about the games because we're on short time crunch here. Let's talk about the Dolphins Chiefs. We might as well bring that one up, right? Just real quick.
I feel like a lot of people are overlooking this one right now, and I know the spread on it's -5, but I feel like a lot of people I talk to are saying Kansas City's going to win easily. And granted, Miami hasn't shown that they can win big games or important games so far this season against great opponents, but Kansas City hasn't really shown me anything else either. Kansas City hasn't really shown me that they can compete with these great teams and they can keep pace and have the offensive points to keep up with someone like the Dolphins. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think
you 100% said Kansas shitty, right?
I heard that too.
Okay,
but
all right.
Here's what I'll say: they're playing in Arrowhead, and a game that could be the record coldest game ever with a -30-degree wind chill. These Miami guys are not going to know what's going to hit them. You're looking at that offense is going to. They're not going to be able to air the ball out that much. That's going to be a cold game. It's going to come down to the defense, and I think we saw what happens when they played each other at the beginning of the season. The defense dominated for the Chiefs, only allowed them to have 14 points, 0 throughout the whole first half, and I think that's how it's going to, along the lines of what it may end up going as playing an away game. It's going to be interesting. Like we said, the script writers wrote a really good script with all the first rounds and even the possible second rounds, but I don't know, that weather is going to play a big factor.
Breaking news.
Alabama. Over. Yeah, I had to break it, bro. Don't play with me. I had to.
That's nuts. All right, interesting. But yeah, honestly, I think Christian's right. I think they're overlooking this game because I think Miami's going to put up a fight. You got to remember they have a two-headed monster running the ball, and I think Mostert's coming back this week, right?
He should be. He sat the last 2 weeks, but even come back from injury in a really cold game, the muscles are going to be very tight. So
I know, but Achani and Mostert, those two, I don't know, man. I think they're two-headed horse there. And not to mention, you get Tyreek Hill involved in anything, that's hard to defend. But it is going to come down to defense. So we'll see how that one goes. I'd still think Kansas City is going to win this one just because it's an Arrowhead. I don't think they're making it far, but I think they're going to win this one. My favorite game this week, I think Browns versus Texans. That's my favorite game. No, my second favorite, but it's up there.
I don't need your insurance.
Yeah, it's tough, and I'll tell you what. I'm not even rooting for one side or the other. I don't care who wins because I love the story behind both of them. You know what I mean? It is going to be a good game, though. It's tough. Houston's getting their chance to play.
Stop.
I feel like it's going to depend on what Browns defense shows up this game. Is it the Browns defense going to come out and hold a team to under 200 yards a game, or is it a Browns defense going to come up and they're going to let up 45 points and they're going to let up 19 of those in the last 3 minutes of the game? It all depends who's coming out.
Yeah, and I agree. I think, again, this is, you have CJ Stroud, who we've talked about the Texans, how good this team has been with DeMeco Ryans, a very surprised division winner there. And then we have the Browns, who have 4 starting quarterbacks who get the top wildcard spot. And it's going to be very interesting. Yeah, with Joe Flacco. It's going to be very interesting, the two storylines we get. When you compare the two teams, I think Houston has the edge on offense, but I think the Browns have a significant edge on defense. And I think that's maybe where it comes down to, is that significant edge. This team already played each other about 4 weeks ago, and the Browns dominated, albeit Stroud was out. But still, that offense dominated the defense. So Amari Cooper's healthy now. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I wish both teams could have gone and played two other teams in one, but they play each other, so one person's guaranteed the division.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want Stroud. I mean, he's a rookie. I would like to see him go out there and ball out, but I also like the old guy too, man. I like Flacco over there. So I'm not disappointed in who wins, but I think, in my opinion, I think Flacco's been able to air this ball out, and like you said, the Texans defense hasn't been looking great. So I mean, I think it's going to be tough for them to be able to cover, Njoku, and I think Amari Cooper's coming back, and I think it's just going to be tough for them to be able to cover that. So even though they're at home, I really think the Browns have a slight edge in this game, but I'd still think it could go either way in this one. So we can talk about the shitty game of the week. We got the Packers versus the Cowboys.
You call it a shitty game of the week, man, and I call this the Jordan Love breakout game, and that's where I think I call 303 touchdown game by Jordan Love to win 28-24 in Dallas.
That's interesting. I think, Dallas has just been so dominant at home. I mean, they've had a really good stretch of football. Now, granted, they've only beat, like 2-3 teams above 500 the entire season. And so, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they do against this Packers team, who, albeit is barely squeezed their way into the playoffs, but they're in there. I don't know. It's really tough for me to sit here and think that the Packers, the way we've seen them play all year, even how good Love has been, the total team is not as good as the Cowboys. I just don't see an upset happening, but I would love for it to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about that upset too, right? And history repeats itself, and I think we saw what their kicker did last year with the Cowboys last game of the season, missed 2 field goals. And, history repeats itself. It could come down to that where he starts missing field goals in this game too. I think they can't overlook the Packers. I think they're a scrappy team and they'll keep in the game. I don't know if they're going to win by any means, but it's going to be a good game, I think.
Dude,
and just
what would be even better is if history repeated itself and the Cowboys were down 4 and they threw a deep ball close to the end zone and CeeDee Lamb goes up for a grab to catch it and he really looked like he probably caught it, right? But he didn't. But it hits the ground.
Not probably, might have. Let's not put probably in there. Don't give Dallas fans an edge.
Brian caught that ball, bro.
Edge old Dallas fans.
I don't know. What was the call on the field, man? I'm sorry. What was it?
Yeah, gotta go with
okay.
This call.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. All right. I would love to see that again. But anyway, I can't really talk much longer about it because I guess we'll talk real quick. Steelers versus Bills. You guys can go more in depth later.
Yeah. Look, I was telling David, man. I loved the Bills as of last night, and then as I was dreaming last night, I had a dream that Mason Rudolph was throwing for 303 touchdowns as the Steelers were knocking off the Bills.
Nuts.
And Madden Sims had Steelers up 14-0 at halftime. So
you're nuts.
Sims has it, I have.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the weather forecast, but apparently they're having a winter weather alert right now. There's going to be possibly a lot of snow, and for that game tomorrow, it's going to be really cold. I mean, I just think it's in TJ Watt's out too. That's a big blow to that defensive front. TJ Watt being out, and just how hot this Buffalo team has been too. I mean, you start out 6-6 and finish the season 11-6 with a division win. It's hard to go against that.
I mean, they deserved it, really. I mean, we knew this team was a good team, right? They just couldn't figure it out. And what's crazy is they're doing it without using Stephon Diggs. So it's going to scare me if they start using him again. Maybe that's what they need to do, keep away from him. I don't know. But I'm going to say, right, I mean, the Bills, after this game, they're going to be walking in a winter wonderland over there, and they're going to absolutely love it. And they will be making it to the next round. So, biggest game, guys. We have to talk about this game. It's the Rams versus the Lions. Stafford's going home to a franchise he could never go into the playoffs in. Meanwhile, the Lions are having their first playoff game, and Stafford's coming in and playing. I mean, what are we thinking about this game?
I think right now the Lions are the favorite, and I think the Rams are about to come out and honestly, offensively, manhandle Detroit's defense.
And truthfully, it's a very, like I said, the script writers have been going absolutely insane for the playoffs so far. I mean, you have the franchise who hasn't won a single playoff game since the 90s or something, 80s to the 90s. and they have to win it against the person that was their franchise quarterback, arguably the best quarterback in franchise history, probably is the best quarterback in their franchise history. And you are going to have to go through him in order to win that game. And I'm going to agree with Christian. I think the Rams are like the Bills for me. They're hot at the right time. Everybody's healthy now. It's going to come down to the trenches. You have two really good defensive lines. You have two pretty good offensive lines. It's going to come down to what person get the most pressure.
Yeah. Nick, anything you want to add?
I mean, listen, I love Dan Campbell and what they're doing over there in Detroit. But I mean, you guys are right. They're hot at the right time. Everyone seems to be healthy. I mean, Williams is an amazing back. He's had a great year. We've seen it in Cooper Kupp. He's still not completely healthy, but he's still putting up numbers. And then who would have thought Puka Nacua would come out here and be able to ball out? Not to mention, let's not forget Tyler Higbee. Ever since he started playing and they went on this tear, his numbers have been going up. So I think the offense alone, I think, is looking better. Defense is starting to look better. I just thought it's going to be tough because it's going to come down. It's going to have to be a shootout at this point, right? I think Lions might get down and they're going to have to find a way to fire back with, they got Amon St. Brown, or as I like to say, Ramen St. Brown over there. He's great. He's great. So they're going to have to rely on him a lot. Jahmyr Gibbs, good grief. He's going to have to be that spotlight too, use him in passing and running. So, but I do think the Rams are going to get this done, and it's going to be unfortunate because they're getting their first home playoff game, and their old quarterback is going to go out there and beat them. I mean, kudos to the script writers for this one. This was a good one for them.
Huh?
All right.
Downstairs
Down here?
Yeah.
So I only have a little bit of time left, guys. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the dubs and chugs for the week. So you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to start with some NBA games. We'll do 5 of these. So we got the Trailblazers versus the T-Wolves.
Give me the T-Wolves because the Trailblazers got absolutely smacked by 63 points last night.
Yeah, so give me the T-Wolves. Trailblazers got whacked by 60 to the freaking second team in the West. I can only imagine what the first team in the West is about to do to them.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy what's going on over in the West. The West isn't even like the same picture anymore. But I mean, the T-Wolves have been just such a surprising team. And I guess OKC is too. But I gotta go T-Wolves in this. It's a home game for them.
KC was about to be lethal.
Yeah.
They still have all those
Next game, we got the Warriors versus the Bulls.
I'm gonna take the Bulls, man. I bet on the Warriors 3 nights in a row. I bet Steph Curry to hit for 25 or more points. In those 3 nights, 16, 9, and I think 7 or 22 the night before. So yeah, I'm gonna go with. I just can't stand Steph Curry in Golden State anymore.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, it's really hard because it's so hard to bet against Steph Curry and Golden State, but they're just a former shell of themselves right now. I believe Chicago has some sort of home win streak going on right now, and I feel like they're going to keep that up this game against Golden State.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about going with Chicago, but then after Christian said this betting and stuff hasn't been going his way, and he decides to bet against Steph Curry now, I think Steph Curry is going to go out there and drop 30-plus points in this game, and they're going to end up getting this one done in Chicago. So we'll go Battle of Florida, Magic versus Heat.
Give me the Heat. I think Miami's been playing pretty well, keeping up the tempo and keeping up good defense. I'm going to go Miami.
Both are having pretty decent years this year, both winning records. I think the Heat have been on more of a tear recently after starting off very poor. But give me Miami at home against the Magic.
Yeah. I mean, it's a home game, right? I mean, Orlando's been decent this year, but I think Miami's going to get this one done. Last game for the NBA, we got the Hornets versus the Spurs.
That's a tough one. I think I'm going to go with the Hornets.
I bet on the Hornets last time. I said, no, give me LaMelo Ball. Give me Wemby here. Give me Wemby with the Spurs here.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, Man, I don't know. I think I gotta go Hornets here. I think I just like that team a little more. So I'm gonna go
Why don't you
Hornets.
just marry them?
All right, guys, and I think
Harry
I think
Rozier.
it's only fitting we do every single playoff game this week. So I'm just gonna go straight in order, starting with tomorrow's games. We got the Browns versus the Texans.
And the Browns.
Yeah, as much as I would love the Texans to win, I think the Browns have the advantage here.
Yeah, defense goes to the Browns, and we know what they say: defense wins championships. In this case, defense wins this game. So I'm gonna take the Browns in this one. Next game, we got the Dolphins versus the Chiefs. Chiefs. Good grief, I can't talk.
Yeah, I don't like betting against Patty Mahomes in Arrowhead in the playoffs. It's just kind of a dumb move, so I'll take the Dolphins.
Let's see the Dolphins let them down once again. I'm going to pick the Chiefs. I mean, I think the Chiefs.
Right now, boys, I gotta stick with it.
I think the Chiefs have the experience, the coaching experience, the playoff experience, the home field advantage, and the weather advantage. So pick the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, David, I think you're right there. I would love to see the Dolphins win this game. I just think it's going to be kind of hard for them in Arrowhead, so I'm going to go with the Chiefs in this one. Next game, we got the Steelers versus the Bills.
I'll take the Steelers.
Oh,
For some reason, his Madden dreams are going to bite him in the butt because I think the Bills win here by like 13. I feel it's going to be a low scoring game because of the weather, but I think they're going to win by 13 points.
I mean, Steelers without TJ Watt, they're not the same team by any means. So I'm going to go Bills in this game. Next game, Packers versus Cowboys.
The Packers.
As much as I would love to say that, the Cowboys are just too good of a team to lose to the Packers.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen here.
Oh boy.
Cowboys are going to be up by 10 points starting the fourth quarter.
I swear to God.
Packers are going to come back. They're going to tie the game up. Cowboys are going to drive down the field. They're going to kick a field goal to try to win the game. They're going to miss that field goal. Packers are going to go down. They're going to kick a game-winning field goal in Dallas to make it to the next round, absolutely destroying all the Cowboys fans' hopes, destroying all about their franchise. They're done. Season over. Packers advance.
And then Nick turns off the PlayStation.
All right. So, last game, tiebreaker game. We had to do it as the tiebreaker, right? It's only fitting. We got the Rams versus the Lions.
So are we just not touching base on the actual game that we truly fucking care about, boys? Like,
It's a Monday night game.
I guess it's a Monday night game. That's fair.
Forgot about that one. Give me the Rams.
Yeah, I really think that the parade of Detroit, I feel like, yeah, good for them. I'm glad they had a good season. I think they're on the up and up, but I just think that the Rams are going to win this game.
That's great, guys. Yeah, I mean, Rams have to win this game. I mean, I just think it's just I think the writers wrote this script for the Rams to win it. As a Detroit fan, it's always a crushing defeat every year, right? So what's better than they're ending their playoffs with a crushing defeat to their old quarterback? So I think the Rams are gonna win. Man, I think they're gonna win 30-27. So all right, that's it. So on that, guys. You enjoy the weekend. It's a long weekend. It's a holiday weekend. We got Milk Day on Monday. So
Ooh.
I will see you guys next week.
Hey, before you head out, I'm gonna say something special real quick to you, Nick. Real quick. Rams 34. Oh, damn it! Fuck!
I was honestly gonna go and post and say it myself because I didn't want to say it again and you catch up on it. What did he say the Rams were gonna win? 30-27?
Yeah, I was gonna take them 30. I was gonna take them 34-28.
I'll take Rams 35-31. He's gonna say it doesn't count though. I bet money he's gonna say it doesn't count. He just messaged in the chat.
Yeah, but it's fun and games until we fucking edit his part out and then he's not.
Oh, that's right. No, I guess I mentioned he didn't want to go through it. I guess it was too long. But I kind of want to see where your full playoff predictions are. So I guess you gave me the AFC. I mean, you have Miami winning, you have the Steelers winning, and you have the Browns winning, correct?
Yep.
All right. So that would leave you with a Ravens Steelers divisional round, and then a Brown-Dolphins divisional round.
If the Ravens played the Steelers in the divisional round, the Ravens are losing.
Really?
Yes. I believe that. And I get it, but Mike Tomlin is Baltimore's kryptonite. I think in the last 3 years, Baltimore has won like maybe one game in the last 6 or 7 meetings, and I don't even know if that one was at home. Like, I don't know, dude. I think if they end up having to play Pittsburgh, I feel like if I'm Baltimore, I would want to face Buffalo more than I'd want to face Pittsburgh. If I'm being 100% honest with you, Pittsburgh's not a team that can do a whole bunch, dude. It really can't. But if the defensive pieces click the way that they need to click, and the offense can continue to play at a meh level, I don't know, dude. I like the pieces that they got over there. I can't lie. And then what would the other game would be? It would be
Dolphins-Browns.
Okay, give me Cleveland. That's easy money.
Ooh, that's interesting. That gives us a Steelers versus Cleveland AFC Championship.
God, are the Cleveland Browns going to the Super Bowl? Is Joe Flacco really going to do that? Because I would have to take Cleveland in that one too there. But that would be 2 wildcard teams, right? So it would be played at Cleveland, though, because Cleveland's the higher seed. So, yeah, I think I would, dude. AFC Championship in the dog pound? What? Count me in.
All right, so I guess you can give me your NFC choices here. Go Cowboys, Packers. You said you think Packers are going to win. You said Rams, and then
Yep.
I guess we can touch base on it. Eagles. So you have all wild card winners. All wild card you have winning.
Yeah. Well, here's my thing. Dallas has been nothing but a choke artist their entire time throughout. Well, since like 1996, I think is how long they've been choke artists. Dak Prescott, he's proven to be a choke artist as well. Des Bryant, he did catch that ball, but didn't count. Love it. I don't know, man. I feel like it always just blows up back in Jerry Jones's face, and I love it. And I just feel like it's just how it's going to happen again. Green Bay, I feel like this is one thing that a lot of people are kind of looking away from. Is I get it. Mike McCarthy was only the coach there. I think it was like 3 years ago. Mike McCarthy was coach there. It's been a while since McCarthy was coaching there.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, I think still a lot of those Packer players that if they were there when Mike McCarthy was there, dude, they don't like him. They do not like McCarthy.
Yeah. So with your predictions right now, you're having a Niners, Packers, and then Eagles, Rams. Those would be the 2 games. That'd be in Philadelphia. That'd be a home game for Philadelphia, and then obviously a San Fran against the Packers.
Yeah, it would. San Fran would win theirs, and then the Rams would probably win there, setting up a Niners and Rams championship game in the Niners. I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. I don't think the Rams would lose that game. I think if that was the way it played out, I think Matthew Stafford and company gets it going. And you know what's crazy, dude, is like Rams are doing a lot of this right now offensively, and they're doing basically all of it without Cooper Kupp. Like, he's there, he's playing, right. But like
he's more of a decoy right now.
Right, Nakua is like the guy, you know what I mean? And so once Kupp gets it going again too, dude, like what do you do?
Yeah. I think it's interesting. So that means your Super Bowl, you're having the Cleveland Browns versus the Rams.
Isn't that a great Super Bowl?
Flacco's Stafford.
That would be a great one, dude. What is this, 2012 again?
Yeah, right?
Yeah. What about you, man? Let's hear it from you.
Do you want to give insight who you think's going to win that game first?
Which one? If that was
the Super Bowl? Yeah.
Oh, man, dude. It just seems so fitting that Cleveland would blow a lead in the final minutes of the game and lose the game to a Joe Flacco interception. So I'd have to go the Rams.
That's crazy. If that happens, this is a team that we said sold their soul for a Super Bowl at the beginning of the year, and possibly we're having them win the whole thing. That's crazy. Mine is a lot more basic, I feel. I have, like I said, I have the Bills winning, had the Chiefs winning, had the Browns winning, which means we get Ravens, Browns in the divisional round. This will be a tiebreaker game this year. They played each other twice. Also, Joe Flacco's return to Baltimore. That will be such an interesting. I feel like the script is writing it right. It's on fire right now. The Browns won 33-31 the last game they played. The Ravens won 28-3, but DTR was the starter then. This will be a good defensive battle. So I think it comes down to offense, and when it comes down to offense, I'm going to have to give it to the Ravens. I feel like the Ravens would win this game. I would love for Flacco to win that game, but the Ravens has been too good, too dominant against everybody this year. Then you have Bills versus Chiefs, another matchup. This will be interesting.
I will say real quick, though, you say the Ravens been too good, too dominant. Cleveland, well, no, they did beat Cleveland. They just didn't beat, it was Pittsburgh that didn't beat both times. Okay.
Yeah. They beat them 28-3 in one of the games.
Yeah.
But Bills versus Chiefs, again, another rematch they played this year. This will be interesting because it is a Buffalo home game. Also, the Chiefs game is the game that kickstarted this run for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, I just think they're way too hot. They're going to be playing in Buffalo, and I think that would give me the advantage to the Bills the way the Chiefs have been playing this year. So that gives me a Ravens versus Bills AFC Championship game. Very original. I know 1 versus 2 seed. I think it'll be an amazing game. I think there'll be a lot to talk about. And I think the Bills are going to punch their ticket to the Super Bowl. I think if we get Ravens-Bills, I think the Bills are just so hot right now. I would not want to play them. I think that gives me the reason why they're getting the Super Bowl. We go to the NFC. Again, I already said I think the Cowboys, the Rams, and I'm going to say it now, I think the Eagles are going to win. Eagles have been spiraling, riddled with injuries, but Baker, even though he's had a great year, this is a 9-8 Bucks team who barely beat the Panthers last week 9-0. I think they will get the win in Tampa, avenging the loss for 2 years ago that I had to sit and witness in person. So that gives us Niners versus Rams, divisional matchup. Again, going to be great. But at the end of the day, I just think the Rams are just too powerful on both sides of the ball on special teams, as well as the Rams are doing right now. I think the Niners are just too dominant, and I would give the Niners that. And then you had the Cowboys versus Eagles, another divisional matchup, a rubber match that would be in Dallas. Dallas is great in Dallas. Eagles got decimated the last time they were there, but I think this time the Eagles would get it done. I think they would key in on not turning the ball over, especially when they're about to score. And I think that would give us a rematch against Niners and Eagles. Last time we saw those two teams was a slaughterfest in Philly. I think it'll be a closer game, but I think the Niners, again, are just too dominant. And I think what's going to end up happening is Debo's going to run wild on those middle linebackers, on those safeties like he did in the last one. And I think the Niners punched their ticket against the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. Then again, we have Buffalo, Niners. That would be a great Super Bowl. I know Josh Allen's been very turnover prone. That's what's going to be the teetering point to see whether or not the Buffalo Bills are going to make it to the Super Bowl. Be very interesting there. I mean, we have a team who's never won a Super Bowl versus the powerhouse of the 80s and 90s. And truthfully, Josh Allen has a Jalen Hurts last year type Super Bowl. And I think the Bills win their first ever Super Bowl this year. I guess we can touch base on more. Let's just recap Washington, Michigan. That's the championship game that just happened not too long ago, earlier this week. Thoughts on that?
Take a pause. Insert clip right here of Christian calling national championship at beginning of season.
I'm going to have to do research and find out which episode that was, but I'll try to find it.
I called Michigan to win. Michigan did win, baby. You know how it goes. And I'll tell you what, man. Washington had plenty of opportunities to stick with Michigan in that game and keep that game closer than it was, and maybe have even made it gone in the other direction. In the early, I want to say right before half or close, I forget when it was, but you had that big missed 4th down opportunity to roam on what would have been a walk-in touchdown if the ball was just a little bit better and he turned his body in the correct way. That's a big fail there. I mean, there was 2 turnovers, I think, by Penix as well, that costly turnovers that you're not going to see that usually come out of him. And granted, that's also a testimony to Michigan's stellar defense that they have. They played a great game. Will Johnson, he had a great, huge interception. Was locking down Rome all night. I think Rome only had like 60, 50 yards total maybe. He didn't go for a crazy game. So they were playing their part. And, props to Michigan's defense for doing what we kind of all assumed they would do and show Washington, hey, look, this is what a real defense looks like. This is what a top-of-the-line defense looks like. Penix didn't look like the same Penix out there. Now, granted, Penix didn't look horrible, but he just didn't look great. He didn't look like the same guy that we had been seeing him be all season, a guy who was a Heisman favorite, a guy who has been working the magic all year. It's just not what we saw out of him. And there's just really nothing you can do about that. He did his part. He did what he tried to do. Things didn't work out. Pieces missed. It is what it is. There's no reason for them to hang their head. I mean, they had a great season. They fought hard. Sadly, Washington's coach just said fuck them and went to Alabama. So that's a shame. But, they won't be back there next year either. So that, that one sucks as well. There's a lot of bad negatives that actually come to losing. But, hey, it's.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was going to be close. I said it was going to be a 14-point game, ended up being 21 points. I said that Penix was going to throw 2 picks. He threw 2 picks. And again, it's just more of a testimony of how dominant I feel like Michigan has been all year compared to, like I said, you have a Washington team who never won a game by more than 10 points the entire season.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, nothing to hang their hats on. They missed some pretty good opportunities. I didn't watch the game. I only got to see the clips. I know I heard there's some. I don't know what they're talking about. There's some sort of controversial call, like a holding call, maybe.
Yeah, but
I mean, one call does not change a 21-point outcome of a game. But like you said, Washington, they're going to the Big Ten, so they'll be playing with Michigan more in the upcoming years. But I guess this makes a segue into the last talking point I wanted to talk about is going to be coaching carousels. What do you think about Washington's coach DeBoer going to Bama now?
I mean, that's pretty crazy. I will say though, I don't know why, but I had a feeling Bama was going to sign some like crazy over the top, like huge name coach. Didn't really happen that way. I've never heard of this Washington coach until now. Granted, I know Washington's always been a pretty decent football team. I feel like they always find themselves like a top 15 ranked near the end of the year. So I don't know how long he's also been there at Washington, but if he's been there for 3 or 4 years, then he must be a pretty decent coach. Because like I said, they always find themselves ranked, somewhere in the top 15. But I don't know much about the guy. He just went to a national championship, so clearly, he must be doing something pretty decent. He coached, all the juice out of Penix from coming over from Indiana, so might not be a bad coach, but I feel like the Alabama job wasn't even intriguing me out of the entire coaching carousel that's going on. There are some good NFL teams right now that are without head coaches. And without head coaches that like, I don't know how to explain it. You can literally just mix and match at this point. Like with the one that get fired, you're literally just going to mix and match it. And it's almost like, dude, are you going to can these coaches find the exact fit for them? And I feel like a lot of them can, Vrabel, dude, I think Vrabel would fit in well in New England. I feel like that's a good place for him. Pete Carroll, see, like I said earlier, I think Pete would fit in good in Philly. Granted, Philly isn't looking for a coach as of right this second. If they lose, they will be, but they aren't right now. I think the most appealing job right now to any coach has got to be the Chargers job, in my opinion. I feel like with all the talent that's out there, you got to find somebody good to coach that team. And I feel like someone like Vrabel or a big players coaches guy is probably the guy you want to have out there. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't put that. I do agree. The best job. I mean, I guess if Nick Sirianni gets fired, maybe it's the Eagles' job would be the best job to have after that. The Chargers is a very, very hot job. I feel like you have a really young, good quarterback there. I feel like anybody would be crazy not to want that starting job. With the hiring of Mayo for New England, and then now that Alabama already hired their coach, it feels weird for the two biggest. I would say probably the two biggest dynasties in each sports of the 2000s, each level of the sport. Why did they pull the trigger so quick on deciding who is going to be their next guy?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I don't know. I feel like there was no timetable for it. They officially fired Bill yesterday, and then they come and they're like, yeah, Gerard Mayer is our coach. Well, okay, hold on. Like you're just saying, yeah, you're one of the most. I mean, Boston sports in itself in the past 2 decades is like one of the most dominant places of sport, dominant cities of sport. You're already held to a higher standard just from that alone. Why in your right mind are you deciding that within 24 hours of firing arguably the greatest coach of all time, you said, dude, let's grab this linebacker coach that played linebacker for us, never coached a day of actual football in his life, but he's going to lead this team.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like I said in the group chat earlier, Texans did the exact same thing with DeMeco Ryans. dude was a linebacker coach as of last year. Now all of a sudden he is, or was he a defensive coordinator?
I thought he was a DC last year.
Was. And so okay, so that's even bigger to the point. Like, what the hell are they doing? Like, guy doesn't have he doesn't have any knowledge calling plays, doesn't have any knowledge like being the true leader of the entire group. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like that's a very big jump. You're handing it over to a guy who's unqualified. I understand maybe their thing is well, he knows the Patriot way because Gerard Mayo was a 2008 draft pick, multiple Pro Bowl selection, played a very good career over there in New England. But just because you spent your time around the organization, you spent your time in that locker room, that doesn't mean you know what to do. It doesn't mean you know your best calls.
Yeah, and I mean, I think one thing you can sit here and think of, who else knows the Patriots way is Mike Vrabel, who's an available coach right now. So you wonder why they don't even try to get a shot at him. I mean, part of me thinks maybe they do this because they didn't have much of a say over what Bill got to do because Bill was Bill. My guess is I feel like Kraft is kind of pulling over what we see Jerry Jones do, especially with not Miles Garrett, with Jason Garrett, just a kind of a yes man, somebody who will just listen to what he has to say and then do that. Not really somebody who can think on their own, but somebody who can play the job as coach, but then be a yes man to the general managers and to everybody. So I think it's very interesting with Bama. I understand that you went out and you just hired the coach who was, second place in the NCAA this past year. He came in second place. He brought a really good season, really good team. It just feels, again, did they not fill a bunch of offers? You give it 2 days to sit, and you're like, yeah, well, this is our guy now. This is our future. So it's very interesting. Now, we also have some other coaches that are still there. Jim Harbaugh hasn't signed with the Wolverines yet. There are still coaching vacancies available. We said Vrabel. We also, Doug Peterson has lost his job. So it'll be interesting where some of these guys go.
Oh, shoot. I forgot Dougie P's out of his job, too. Man. Bring him in to be Philadelphia's offensive coordinator.
Honestly, that's kind of like along the lines where I kind of see it too. I mean, I feel like Doug Peterson, I feel like if he gets another coaching job, I feel like he just may join the staff at either Philadelphia, Kansas City, or Indianapolis. I feel like those would be the three places where he'll end up just hopping on board and being some sort of coordinator. He maybe even be some sort of like not a coordinator, but like kind of what Patricia was to us, is like head of operations of offense or whatever.
Right.
I mean, I feel like Dougie P was kind of done kind of dirty this past year. I mean, he took them to a division last year, won the playoff game last year, and then was fired, not really for much of his fault, but just kind of the underperformance of his team, not really much on him. So I mean, it's interesting. We'll see how this carousel goes. Do you have any guesses where you would have to pick Harbaugh right now? But where's Harbaugh going?
That's tough, dude. That's tough. I think I feel like I don't know, dude. I really don't know. Harbaugh is a tough one, dude. Harbaugh is a very hard one right now because a part of me wants to say he's going to come back to Michigan. Part of me wants to say he's heading to the NFL. I don't know what he's going to do, man.
Yeah, I think, again, it's interesting because we truly don't know. He has the coaching talents to be an NFL coach. I mean, heck, he took a team to the Super Bowl with technically a backup quarterback in Kaepernick when he had him there. And then he just won a national title. I think he's like one of the only people to like be both in the college football championship game and in the Super Bowl as a head coach. And so it's gonna be interesting. It would be insane for Michigan not to throw a bag at him. I know we talked about like insane. I said like $30 million a year for 8 years. That's a big bag for a coach. It really is. I don't think that will happen, but he deserves it. I mean, yes, it took him 7 years to beat his biggest rival, but the last 3 years, what that program has been doing, the up and up, the beating Ohio State 3 straight years, the making it to multiple college football championships and winning the last one, it would just be insane to me to not press the button on pay the man. Pay the man. You had one of the biggest brands in college football. You had the biggest stadium, so you have the seats to fill, so you can, give him some money from there as well as Michigan being one of the top rated public schools in the nation. Just would be insane for me, I feel like, to let him walk.
Yeah, but I also feel like at the same time too, it might not be as much as just of a let him walk. It might also be as much as a hardball. Is like, you know what? I'm done. I've done it
Yeah.
do here. And I feel like, and I will say, I feel like a lot of his decision might honestly be behind the fact, too, that JJ McCarthy and Blake Corum are leaving. Those are two of his stars. McCarthy was like, I know that was Michigan's biggest landed recruit. I think I forget even in how long. Like he was one of their only 5-star recruits on the roster, one of the biggest quarterback recruits Michigan has had in forever. And I think that they're both hitting the door in Harbaugh. Harbaugh knows we could probably take another 3-4 years. We could probably do this again. We could find another quarterback. We could get, he could do it all over again. But I think he's ready to just hit it out into the NFL and not have to worry about that. There's talent everywhere all the time, always available in the NFL. I feel like that's where he'd rather be, and he'd rather go and get that done.
It'll be interesting to say the least. I mean, we'll have to wait until actually the whole NFL season's over. Because again, like we've said, there could be some coaching jobs available afterwards. See what happens with Philadelphia, see what happens with Tampa Bay and all those teams. But I don't have anything else unless you have something else you want to talk about.
I do. I do have one thing that I want to talk about. I can't even remember the kid's name because he's just that irrelevant now. But whatever the hell your name was, that was a flyer like 6 days ago, and then came out and
Right,
said
right,
that you
right.
were playing for the fucking team and you needed to be traded. Screw you, okay? You're enemy number one in Philadelphia now. Nobody likes you. Your family's gay. Your wife probably got cheated on you with dude. Go fuck yourself. That's all I gotta say. That's what I'm gonna lead the message with. Don't disrespect Philadelphia. If you can't play in Philly, then realistically, the fact of the matter is you're not built to play anywhere.
Yeah, and I think the craziest thing about it, if I'll have to look up, I forget what his name was.
Gunther,
Let's see.
can't remember.
Let's see here.
You still can't find it? A lot of editing about to come here.
Yeah.
Come on, man. It takes seconds.
Cutter.
It was a top prospect.
Cutter. Yeah.
Yeah, so screw him. Nobody likes him. No, he's bum. Can't play. If you can't play in Philly, then you really can't play anywhere. That's how I like to look at it. If you can play in Philly, then you can play anywhere.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, off the get go, I feel like the warning signs are there. The dude came out and said his favorite player growing up was Crosby. We can't have the Penguins fan on the Flyers anyway. But just like it sickens me when these guys are getting paid millions of dollars, maybe in his case, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars, that play a sport, and they just like, oh, I don't want to play here. I don't want to play here, especially here. I don't want to play here. And it's like, dude, you're getting paid this much money to play a game. You signed a contract to play for a team, and this is what you do. It really seems that the Flyers are early on the up and up. They kind of have a little lull the past like week or two, but they're playing good hockey, and so it just makes me wonder. Maybe he just wasn't going to make the cut and he jumped ship. Who knows? It's just a shame. It's really a shame because the Flyers do have a really good young. I loved what they did in the draft last year, so it's going to be interesting to see how this team does, and I guess interesting to see how the Cutter is going to do with the remainder of his career.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see, but I don't know. And one last thing, Joel Embiid, can you start getting healthy, dude? Can you play in some damn games? Like, I'm getting tired of this. The team looks great. Maxi's a fucking stud, but you know what, dude? We can't. We need you. Okay, we need you. So fix your knee. If you need a knee, call me. I have an extra one. I can give it to you, but you get the fuck back out on the court.
Yeah, that's what's blowing my mind. This team is struggling without him, to say the least. Maxi and Tobias can only do so much. You're missing your biggest piece. You're missing the dude who was averaging like 42 points a game in the month of December, and so it really hurts your team. You're missing your biggest rebounder. Get on the floor. Be healthy. We need you there because if you're not, then this team just isn't the same. I mean, yes, we want him healthy by the time playoffs comes, but I mean, I just wish there was more, I guess, more clarity why he's sitting out as much as he has. Because like I think his knee right now but there's also like a 5-game span where I feel like he was sitting out for no reason not too long ago. So hopefully they can figure it out, because it would just be a shame for how good this team was playing with him for this team to start losing traction because of him not being on the court every night.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. So we'll see how that plays out. But I feel like that's just about everything that there is to know in the world of sports. Right?
Nothing too big right now. Not any big baseball news since the Teoscar, Hernandez news. But I guess enjoy some football this weekend.
Yeah.
Happy MLK Day for everybody who gets the day off on Monday. I don't. But if you do, go crazy Sunday if you have some teams you want to go crazy for.
I'm off today, but I don't have off because of MLK Day.
Yeah, they do not give me off at the surgery center for MLK Day. So.
Well, I mean, what did the guy do?
But all right, I guess with that, we'll see you on Monday.
Alrighty, Monday.
Yeah, hopefully the Eagles win on Monday.
Debating on players, teams, and even strategies.
See ya.
For real, the sugar-coated fallacies. David's on the mic, spinning knowledge of flair. He breaks down the stats with a voice smooth like air. Christian's a funny guy, bringing laughter and joy. He got the jokes unlocked and no one can destroy. Leads the analysts, break down the X's and O's. He sees the game differently like nobody knows. Together unite, forming a podcast dream team, making waves in the industry, fulfilling their schemes.